We've all had them. You go into sleep one night and you start stressing about the day's events. Suddenly, you remember a night from 3 years ago when you text your ex an embarrassing confession. Or you made a ridiculously dumb suggestion at work when you were too tired. Recently, I had one when I was waving at someone I thought I knew. Turns out it wasn't even them and they didn't even wave back. It's what we call cringe moments. And I'm probably not the only one who has lost half a night's sleep to one. The experience is so common, books are being written about it. Melissa Dahl wrote one called Cringe-worthy, a theory of awkwardness, in which she gives one explanation for why we tend to dwell on these moments. Some anxious folks tend to worry a lot about the future, imagining scenarios where everything goes horribly wrong. But these aren't cringe because they aren't about embarrassing things that's already happened. Cringe moments get fixated on in a behaviour called rumination. This is when you keep cycling back to a moment in the past you regret. Sometimes, these are serious moments when you quit the wrong job, had a big fight, or broke up with the love of your life. But more often, they are simply cringe moments, embarrassments that make us feel like failures. Unfortunately, rumination can be very bad for you, as it's associated with both depression and anxiety. However, you can break the cycle with professional help, or use some at-home methods that move your thoughts elsewhere. Often, our cringe moments sneak up on us most when we're trying to go to sleep, because there's nothing else to distract one's mind. Also, you often can't make a new plan to break the thought cycle because you're exhausted from your day. However, there is a reason we ruminate, even if it is bad for us. Our mind is geared to solve problems and deal with dangers. And we tend to ruminate on those moments we messed something up where we felt, rightly or wrongly, posed a real danger to us. By forcing us to reflect on those moments, our minds are trying to train us not to make the same mistakes again. It's trying to make us develop tools and solutions to similar situations should they arise, and use mental anguish to make sure we try to avoid those situations again. It can be a real problem because we often become fixated on the moments that are not actually very dangerous or important. The cringe factor comes in part from knowing that it's not that big of a deal, but feeling an overwhelming sense of emotional pain over it. That's when distraction, mindfulness, and other techniques can help break the cycle and pull our minds away from rumination. Unfortunately, searching for the solution over and over again is actually worsening the problem. And in fact, getting your mind to let go of the problem and stop caring about it is often the best solution for simply cringe or embarrassing cases. In today's social world, in many ways the same as it was back in the hunter-gatherer times, social acceptance is one of the keys to success, and our brains know this. That's why making sure our behaviour conforms to expectations is so important to our brain. So that cringe moment, more often than not, is not an experience of real danger, like being hunted by a tiger or falling off a cliff. Instead, it is more often us making a social faux pas and our mind telling us not to make the same mistake again. This kind of thought has its place, but it's important to evaluate your mind if you are consistently losing sleep over the situation. If it's not benefiting you, you can use some of the following techniques to help break the cycle. Number 1. Tire yourself out before bed. If you're genuinely exhausted, it will be harder for your mind to ruminate. Try working out before bed, or simply keeping yourself distracted until you feel genuinely tired. Number 2. Distract yourself as you're going to sleep. Once in bed, you can read a book, turn on the TV, or listen to a podcast if you feel the bad thoughts coming. Your most important goal should be to acknowledge the thoughts are happening, but distract your mind from continuing to cycle through them. Number 3. Mindfulness. You can practice a variety of meditation and mindfulness training to do essentially one thing. And that's to be able to acknowledge the thoughts as they occur and let them go. This practice keeps one centered in the present moment, allowing the past to move on and preventing an overactive imagination of the future. Number 4. Setting aside a time to worry. Another technique is to set aside 15 minutes to write down everything concerning you in a day. This offloads those thoughts and allows your mind to evaluate how important each worry actually is. By designating a specific time, your mind is also less apt to bring up worries all the time, but will focus them to the appointed time. In the end, cringe moments are just that, moments. They don't have to stick with you for the rest of your life. Unfortunately, we are most in danger of recalling them repeatedly at night when we are relaxed and ready to reflect. But there are ways to help redirect our minds during those periods.